Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inside the Circle. Today, we are joined by another incredible guest. Played for clubs such as Selkirk High School, Forges Reavers, Leuven Hockey Club, Holcombe, Hampstead and Westminster, Tassie Tigers out in the Australian Hockey One League, University of Edinburgh, and a recent signing to Wimbledon Hockey Club. International stats that could stun anyone, with a Scotland debut in 2012, a GB debut in 2015, 120 caps and 15 goals for Scotland, and 101 caps and 12 goals for the GB. International achievements for GB is the Tokyo and Paris Olympics, with obviously that impressive Tokyo bronze medal as well. And for Scotland, there's the Glasgow and the Gold Coast Commonwealth appearances. Off the pitch is just as successful, with a first class honours degree from University in Edinburgh for law, worked as part of a team within Premiership Rugby working on the salary cap compliance within that, is now currently the head of women's sport and hockey within Grey Nichols, received her 100th GB cap at the Paris 24 Games by Scottish tennis legend Sir Andy Murray, and has just recently announced retirement from the GB setup in November of 2024. Please welcome everybody, Sarah Robinson.
Oh, what a fantastic introduction. Thanks for having me.
It's no problem. Thank you very much for joining us. And how are you getting on today?
Yeah, all good, thanks. Busy times. Spending a lot of weekends still playing for Scotland. And obviously working full time now that I've retired from Great Britain. So it's yeah, 7 days a week working at the moment. But yeah, good times. Nice to still play.
Yeah. I saw that you were playing for Scotland there recently against France. How did that go? I know France is a difficult team to play against at the best of times.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we had two games in Edinburgh against France this weekend, which well, it was great to play hockey in Scotland. Proper
Mm,
capped games. Normally teams just play friendlies against each other. So we had two girls getting their first caps, and one of our players getting their 100th Scottish cap, which doesn't happen often. So good in that regard. A couple of sticky results, but sometimes it's not the worst thing when you're preparing for a major competition to get the learnings out the way before you get to the tournament. So yeah, all good.
brilliant. Yeah, it's only up from here. It's good to see a few first caps going. That's brilliant.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we've got some great youngsters coming through the Scottish program. I've obviously been away from it for, to be honest, a couple of years now. Apart from one weekend, I ended up playing last year. But obviously with the Olympics and
Yeah.
had an injury and back in 2023, which meant that I missed the Europeans. So I've actually not played that much. So yeah, these youngsters have kind of come out of nowhere in the last couple of years. So yeah, I had to introduce myself at the start of the summer, but yeah, really impressive to see the quality coming through in the pathway. Yeah, and I think Scotland's got a bright future ahead.
That's brilliant, and I really do hope it does, because it's always great. I know I have a future question about it, but with the Commonwealth, it was always great to see the Scottish men and women doing so well in it. They were always such a good team, and it's great to see a bit of life coming through from that end. And obviously, then as well, within the past few days, brand new signing to Wimbledon. How's that all gone? Has pre-season started yet?
Yeah, happy to be signed for Wimbledon. After you've listed off my long list of clubs there, don't you make me feel old? Um, yeah, no, pre-season hasn't started yet for the team. I think they're about to start getting into it, but as international players, we won't join towards the back end of the summer after the Europeans take a couple of weeks off and then get stuck into it. I think our league starts the 20th of September, so there's a little bit of time after the Europeans to have some rest and then get training. But yeah, Wimbledon building a really exciting team, made quite a lot of new signings this year. Um, Quite a lot of fellow Scots playing for the team. So yeah, a pretty experienced team, a lot of international experience in the team. So yeah, hoping for big things this season. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and hopefully that means sort of a bit more, especially with the Europeans happening just before that. That'll hopefully lead a good run into it then, and straight into the season.
Totally, yeah. I mean, the nature of hockey now is that it's all year round. It makes it pretty brutal for people that play international as well as club. It really is like not really much period of rest throughout the entire year. You got to be fit pretty much all season round. So yeah, it'll be a pretty intense build up into it, coming off the back of a major tournament as it always is. But yeah, as you say, it means that the league doesn't take much to get up and running. People are pretty fit and sharp from the start of it. So yeah, I think it will make for a competitive league.
Yeah, brilliant. And as we said, with the GB retirement, is it treating you well? Are you getting a bit more downtime in between hockey pitches and things like that?
Yeah, well, I was lucky enough straight after I retired, well, around about that time after the Olympics, I went to play in Australia for Tassie Tigers in the Hockey One.
Yeah.
So always had that lined up for after the Olympics. A chance to go away, do something different. Um, and yeah, we couldn't have been looked after better over in the Hockey One. Tasmania is a beautiful part of the world, kind of like Scotland on steroids. And yeah, the league was amazing, really good experience. And, that was a sort of 3 month trip with a couple of months of hockey in there. So definitely a bit of balance and a bit of downtime there. So yeah, generally that was a pretty good start to retirement life. 2025 has been a bit different. I started obviously full-time work with Grays in January, so now it's still back to being pretty busy, but all good busy.
Brilliant. And it's a stupid question, which I probably already know the answer to. Did you enjoy your GB experience from when you first started playing with them right through to retirement?
Totally, yeah. I think lots of highs, lots of lows. I think enjoy in the sense that it pushes you to your absolute limit. So it's fortunate to be part of an environment where you get to train full time, get to see how good you can be. Um, yeah, but don't get me wrong, it's not always easy. It comes with injuries, non-selections, disappointing results at times. But yeah, overall, I look back at the 10-year period and feel a lot of pride about, what I achieved, what the team achieved in that time. You know, Paris was a bit of a disappointing end, but
Mm-hmm.
to be part of the two Olympic cycles before that, the first delivered a gold medal and then the second bronze medal. I think, Great Britain hockey women have had a really successful period, and it was, a privilege to be part of that. But yeah, don't get me wrong, it definitely pushed me as well.
Yeah. Obviously, yeah, like you said, with the two Olympic games, two very different Olympics as well. Obviously, with Tokyo being at the end of that sort of COVID years, and then obviously with Paris, bar the gold or the bronze medal, what were the differences between them in terms of what was play like?
In terms of the standard of hockey, you mean?
Yeah, sorry.
Um, yeah, good question. I mean, obviously in Tokyo, one of the things that we had to contend with was the conditions. I mean, on the day that we played for bronze, we played at 11 in the morning and it was 42 degrees, pitch side, 85% humidity. Um,
Just like
so
Scotland,
yeah,
exact
yeah,
same weather.
I'm well versed to that. So yeah, I mean, it ended up that the quarters got split into eights to give people a chance to
Yeah.
breathe and have a drink. Plus combined with the fact that the game was absolute chaos, there was 7 goals in that game.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, for me personally, Tokyo was obviously my first Olympics that I played in. Um, you know, Generally I went into that not with any huge expectation. I was happy to be there, happy to have the opportunity, see what we could achieve. And yeah, the whole 2 weeks just sort of clicked. And obviously we were lucky enough to come away with a medal. Um, and yeah, then obviously I took a bit of a break after Tokyo as well. I took 1 year out, and it was amazing to see that even in 1 year, I was still playing for Scotland at that time. I just wasn't training full time.
Yeah.
The game got even quicker. Year on year, I think the game is getting quicker and quicker. Obviously, there's a lot of rule changes that add into that, but just the general standard, teams are now professional outfits.
Yeah.
The speed of the ball and the speed of the athletes is just going up and up. So yeah, after a year out, it wasn't like I was just trying to get back to the standard of Tokyo. It was Tokyo and beyond to get back into
Yeah,
the side for Paris. Um, yeah, so I think, it's a love-hate relationship with that in hockey. That's what makes the sport so amazing, that it's so fast and so exciting. But yeah, as an athlete that plays in it, it means that you have to be, at the top of your game to be able to physically compete in that environment. So yeah, the game's constantly evolving, which is what we love about it.
yeah. No, I totally agree. Just on with the pace of the play. Do you think, is there anything that can be done for when watching it on TV? Because it's now getting very difficult to actually follow where the ball is, bar the fact that it's just being played at such a high pace. But is there anything that you think that can be done, for future that might actually help get the sport watched a bit more? Because I think that's what turns people off, just going, I don't know what's happening. The ball's moving too quickly.
Totally, yeah, I agree. It's sometimes hard as a player to follow it, never mind
Yeah,
people that have come to the sport for the first time. Um, yeah, I mean, I think hockey could definitely learn from other sports in terms of bringing the crowd along on the journey, understanding what's happening. So, I've been to watch the 100 cricket here, and it's obviously a pretty simple format, but then they've got infographics that come up on the screen. So if you understand, for example, why has a penalty corner been given, it can show that it hit a foot, or it can,
yeah,
potentially have some graphics that explain the rules in maybe a more user friendly way. And also, I think, um, the whole video referral piece, that probably could be a bit slicker, and they could speak you through it a
yeah,
bit more. I definitely think there's ways that technology could make the game more understandable. It'd be interesting to take some stuff from, tennis, where when you serve, you see how quick it is, understanding at a penalty
yeah.
corner, how quick was that drag flick? Because they all look quick, but
Yes, that's very true.
some are quicker than others. So it would be good to put some stats alongside that. I think the good thing is when hockey is played on major stages, Europeans, World Cups, Olympics, the quality of the footage is really high.
Yeah,
But obviously the ball does move quick, so it does take an experienced video team to bring that to life, to track the ball, and get the balance between zoomed in and zoomed out. But yeah, generally I think at the top tournaments that's done really well, and yeah, I'd love to be able to see that obviously filter down the game so that club hockey, um, even just lower level international tournaments can get the same coverage, because yeah, I think without that you can't appreciate the sport as much as it should be appreciated, but you need to see it and need to understand it to be able to appreciate it. So but yeah, don't get me wrong, it takes a bit of investment in technology and
yeah.
infrastructure, but yeah, I would love to see that being it more engageable and made in sort of bite-sized clips as well, that people can, you know pick up little bits on social media, etc.
Yeah, no, I think the way the sport's growing, I think that's that next step that the sport needs, and if we can nail that, I think we'll be on to a winner for everyone,
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
With obviously then with going back to the Tokyo Games, you won a very nice bronze medal. Um, I have to ask, is it displayed nicely somewhere, or is it hidden away secretly?
Good question. I'm not actually sure where it is. It often lives just in a drawer, a sock drawer,
Brilliant.
for maximum security purposes, living in London. Um, yeah, no, not displayed yet. To be honest, it still gets a little bit of use, if I ever, speak at a school or go to an event. But I'm sure when that wears off, I'll figure out a way to display it nicely with a bit of a strip or something. But yeah, no, it's a funny thing. It lives just in a sock drawer at the moment.
Oh, very nice. I think that's honestly most people's secure place of choice.
Yeah, which turns out
So
maybe it means it's not that secure after all, if everyone
yeah,
knows.
I was
And
just
I'm
about to
I'm
say we
announcing it
might
on a
need to
podcast as well.
yeah, I might need to contact everyone and go, sock drawers maybe not the way to go anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, always then Paris was a slightly different, a little bit more disappointing result in the end. It was that down again to quality of the teams being played against. So there was still quite a fresh GB team as well with some of the players. Was there a recap at the end and you just went, right, this is what went wrong, or was it just not chances being taken?
Good question. I think the split in Paris was there was nine of us that had been before and seven first time, which is probably about average for most teams.
Yeah.
Close to a 50-50 split potentially. So I think probably in general terms we had quite an experienced team. Um, Obviously there was a tighter turnaround between Tokyo and Paris, which meant that it was a 3-year preparation window as opposed to the normal four,
Hmm.
which potentially stop more younger people coming into that squad. One less year to sort of break in. Um, yeah, definitely disappointed with the overall result. Obviously, we had a pretty frustrating group in terms of finished fourth in the group, which meant we crossed over against the Dutch, which
Yeah.
always pretty tough to play them in a knockout match. They're rightly the best team in the world. So yeah, I think the errors really came in the group. We lost to Spain 2-1 in that first game. And yeah, I think it's a tough one because that was our first game and it probably was the pivotal game in the group. And we probably didn't want to put too much pressure on that game because it's your first game. You've got a pool of
Yeah.
6 teams, 5 games. It's not all in the first game, but ultimately it did end up coming down to that in terms of deciding the pool placings. We chose to not put too much emphasis on that game, just treat it like any other game. But,
Yeah.
in hindsight, was there an option to put more emphasis on that first game? Easy to sit back and look at now. But yeah, I think there's definitely been a review process since that. Obviously, I've not been involved in it too much. And obviously now the squad are playing as England through Pro League. But yeah, from what I hear, they're trying to put some stuff in place. And obviously, they're going to have to because a lot of people did retire after that Olympics.
Yeah.
Um, which I think, to be honest, probably came at a good time. It's probably time that they get a lot of youngsters into that team. Yeah, my one frustration probably is that they play as England now and that Scottish and Welsh people aren't as part of that as they could be
Yes.
in terms of that rebuild. But that's just the way it is, isn't it, with the current system? And
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's no perfect solution, so I don't think we're going to find it now.
No, it's always a tricky one. The build so rightly the year before, or the year leading up to the Olympics with a GB squad, and then all of a sudden it's completely different. So the guys that you've been seeing playing, who we were chatting to Jacob Draper in the last one, and he's a bit like you in the same position of done all this GB prep, and then I'll have to going back to Wales he loves, but there's that edge that you sometimes miss, I think. But even with it going back to England, would you still be, if you weren't retired, are you still training as GB every so often, or is that put completely on the back burner?
Yeah, no, so the girls they're all still part of the squad, so they do have periods of time where they do train as Great Britain. So they're not completely left to their own devices. But obviously now you've got the unique situation as well that Scotland play England in the first game of the Europeans. So um,
Yeah.
for the last few months, it's sort of been protected windows of Scottish training and English training. Obviously, Wales are currently playing in their European, so they've had their own training block as well, which
Yeah.
obviously means Scotland and Wales are not professional outfits, so that's mostly weekend camp-based training.
Mm.
So the Scottish and Welsh girls end up doing a lot more individual training throughout the week, and then the camp-based stuff with their teams at the weekend. So yeah, it's tough going for those athletes. I think it takes a lot of individual motivation to keep yourself fit and firing.
Yeah.
Because you've not necessarily got the volume of training that the England squad have, but yeah, they're capable of doing it. But yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely takes some internal drive.
Yeah. And with with the Olympics, was there a bit of a yes moment or a pinch me moment when you were getting your cap given by Andy Murray? Was that a impressive moment there?
Yeah, well, yeah, my family are massive Andy Murray fans, and we knew that he was coming to the hockey that day because obviously he was pretty sociable in the village, and we knew that
Yeah.
he'd got knocked out with the tennis the day before. So he told us he was bringing his daughter, so everyone did have one eye peeled for him. But yeah, mixed emotions at the end of the game because we lost the group game to Argentina. Um, And then yeah, I hadn't even clocked that he was on the pitch or that that was happening. So yeah, it was a nice moment. Um, yeah, I had a bit of a debrief of the match with him, which was interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, a special moment to look back on for sure. Yeah, obviously a Scottish and British hero, Andy Murray.
yeah, absolutely. And now there wasn't much of a turnaround then for then the European qualifiers for then Scotland. Was it about 3 weeks after?
Oh, I think it was shorter than that. I think it might have
Oh
been
right.
about 10 days. So yeah, I know that some players didn't play, but we got all the Scots back. Myself, Amy, Charlotte, and Jess. So yeah, it was a pretty tight turnaround.
Yeah,
Luckily, it was in Glasgow, so we didn't have to travel far, which I think made it a bit easier. But yeah, we were all pretty determined to go back and play and make sure that we did the job to make sure Scotland got A division status for the next two Europeans. So yeah, we got
brilliant.
the job done. It was a case of just ploughing through before a bit of a break, but yeah, not ideal timing, but yeah, job done.
Yeah, no. And so, what's the prep been like for this Europeans?
Yeah, prep's been good. Yeah, Chris Duncan is our coach now, and he's definitely tried to ramp up how much we train together as a team, which provides a few logistical challenges for those not based in Scotland. There's a few
Yeah,
based in Europe and down south, down in London. So yeah, it's got a lot of travelling, but I think obviously there's no getting away from the fact that the more time you spend together as a team, the better prepared you are for tournaments. So yeah, we've had quite a lot of training this summer. The squad had obviously the Nations Cup in February, March time, which I chose
yes, of
not to
course.
play in because I needed a bit of a break. But they had a great tournament out there, beat a couple of sides higher ranked, and then yeah, back to domestic for a bit, and then we've had pretty much a summer of training. So yeah, we've had a lot of time together as a team, and yeah, it's been a pretty competitive period in terms of selection. A lot of good youngsters coming through. Um, but yeah, obviously, European A division is you know the toughest continental
Yeah,
championships there is. So yeah, we know we're going to be coming up against really strong teams. But yeah, we're looking forward to it. We'll put our best team out, best effort out, and we'll see what happens.
yeah. I think as usual, why not go for it? See what happens. And obviously to play in these lovely big tournaments, you need lovely equipment. Which leads me quite on to what equipment are you playing with at the minute?
So yeah, I play with Gray's equipment. I have done for my entire career. I think I started playing with Gray's kit when I was 15. I was introduced to the kit and it's
Brilliant.
stuck ever since. So yeah, not many athletes can say that for their entire career.
No,
And yeah, obviously, funny enough, I also ended up working for the brand. So after Tokyo Olympics, I ended up taking on a job, partly in the hockey side of the business, also in women's sport for the company. So yeah, I've got an eternal loyalty to Grays now, working and playing with the kit. But yeah, it served me very well throughout my career, and yeah, I'm certainly sticking with it now.
no, you're very right. There's very few people that can can say that they have used one brand throughout an international career, and it's great to see that loyalty. Well, it's paid off. You're now working with them. What what stick are you using to start off with? Which brand or model of stick are you using?
Yeah, I use the DB10, which is like the new equivalent of the Dynamo 10,000, the old blue one. We also did
Yeah,
it in mint. Um, Now in blue and pink. I'm playing with the pink one at the moment.
very nice.
So yeah, I think it for international players, I think it's a case of you find a stick, you like it, you stick with it. So yeah, that stick I've played with for at least the last 7, 8 years. Um, yeah, I really like it. It's you know pretty slim stick, pretty modest bow, nothing too crazy.
Hmm.
Um, Serves me pretty well on the backhand. That's probably the main reason that I like the stick. Not got too much of a bow to it, so it's pretty easy to hit on the backhand. But yeah, it's a pretty good general all-round stick. Some of the sticks are obviously a bit more bold if you need anything more advanced for like flicking, etc. But none of those are in my skill set. So yeah, just stick to the standard. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. And it's always interesting to see, like, do you have a specific setup of stick, like weight and balance points, different grips? What do you do to your hockey stick?
Yeah, so until the Tokyo Olympics, I used to always play with a standard chamois on the stick, and then
Hmm.
after then, I actually switched to the twin tex grips, which is like more like a tennis grip,
Oh
um,
yes.
which I actually love. I have quite small hands, and often with a chamois, I find my hands slipping. Whereas the tennis grip, I find you get a lot more traction on it. Obviously, it
Yeah,
doesn't serve you very well when it's raining, so you need to have a backup plan, which often does happen in Scotland.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, that's the grip I go for. In terms of other specs, I play with a 37.5, which probably most players I know now do.
hmm,
It doesn't matter really how tall you are to a certain extent. It's about sort of that extra inch, having to bend down a little bit less. And yeah, as light as possible, really. Yeah,
okay,
5'15", 5'25".
okay, nice
But
and light,
to be honest, I'm not one of the players that's that picky. I leave that to the other players. I'll just take whatever's left on the shelf.
brilliant. And then, what shoes are you using?
Yeah, I now play with the Aerocade shoes. So yeah, it's been a good process. Obviously, I've been part of the development as well of
Yeah,
the shoes at Grays. So I got into them in 2022. I started playing with the Raid shoes, and then since then we've developed
yeah,
the one above that, Aerocage, um, with a lot of international feedback. So originally we did them in sky blue, and then now they're the white shoes and white and teal.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's pretty nice to be part of a product development process, but then also get to wear them. So yeah, generally they serve me very well. And yeah, we obviously worked on the design a lot to make them um, a bit more in line with what the market wants in terms of colorways, etc. So yeah, all good.
Yeah, no, the shoes. I think the grey shoes have been one of the biggest updates that
Yeah,
I've seen from them, and they've done really well. We sell a good amount of them, because they're a really high quality shoe at a really affordable price, which I think a lot of people can really respect. And once they put them on and actually see that they're the quality of them and all the other bits and pieces, they end up normally walking out with them, which is always good.
yeah.
Um, what's then your role within Grays?
Good question. I have a pretty varied role within Grays.
Okay.
Yeah, so my official title is business development lead, which essentially involves a little bit of everything. One of the big drives for me has been connecting a lot closer with the players. So that's both on the marketing side of things, which anyone who follows Grace on social media will see a lot more of us working with the elite players, which we happily sponsor a lot of top class players. So trying to build that connection a lot closer with the players. Um, from a product perspective as well. What the players want, how we can bring that into the range. So yeah, a bit of a mix of the marketing side of it, also the product side. Not just at the top end, but what do people generally need in the game, all the way from grassroots up to the top. And yeah, a little bit of the teamwear as well side of it. Obviously, we really released a new clothing range January 2024, and we've signed quite a few big clubs as well. So yeah, every day is different. Some days on the pitch, some days in the office. So yeah, very lucky to have a varied role in a sport that I love.
That is brilliant. And then obviously Grays for the 2025 season, a huge big change in terms of the design of the sticks, the naming convention of the sticks and all of that. How involved were you in the design and the way forward for the new ranges?
Yeah, I was pretty involved. I think there was a feeling that our range had been the same for a long time, which had pros and which had cons because everyone loved it. It had been around for a long time. People had loyalty to it. They were very attached to the colorways. the pros knew which stick was theirs, they would go for it. So you had that side of it, a lot of loyalty to the sticks. But then there was also a sense that, the market needs something fresh, it needs something new. Um, and perhaps our sticks, needed to look a bit more technical, which is what the new range has done. They've exposed a lot more of the materials inside the stick. So
Yeah,
yeah, it was getting that balance point, and ultimately we decided, to go for it. And then obviously it's had a huge shake up. We've moved to families, so really trying to make it easier for people to understand, what is a Dynamo, what is a Jumbo, what is a Pro Bowl, um, and then obviously with the family structure, give people different price points within each family. So yeah,
yeah,
I was involved a bit in terms of the structure, and obviously a lot in terms of design and getting player feedback on that side. So yeah, generally a pretty huge transition for us in terms of the range, but from everything we've heard, it's been received really well into the market, and we're yeah, really proud of it.
yeah. And what with working at Grays and obviously within that sport that we all love, have has working there changed your perspective on how sticks are made or the materials of the sticks or what it takes to get something made? Has that changed at all?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely opened my eyes to it. I had no idea really. I would just order a stick and it would, arrive in the next 2 days. Um, so yeah, it's been a real, learning process for me in terms of how the whole business works and how far in advance we do things. Already now, what are we, July 2025, we're
Mm-hmm.
planning the range, pretty much finalising the range that will come out June 2026. So
So
yeah, you're pretty much, a year and a half in advance. So you've just launched one range and you're already thinking about, what else is coming. So yeah, it's a constant sort of cycle and looking ahead and a lot of planning, a lot of market research.
yeah,
So yeah, there's a certain, a big process that goes behind it. And also how many, we offer a lot of sticks at Grays. But
mm-hmm.
then when you break it also down, we offer each stick in potentially two different colorways, five different sizes. It's a lot of different products. It's a
Yeah,
lot of different products to forecast, to stock, to sell. So it's yeah, it's a huge operation.
yeah. No, it's look, Grays has always been a brand that we've established that if you love a grey stick, you're always going to buy a grey stick, and I think that's it's almost the first brand that if a parent's coming in with their kids, it's almost the first brand they go right. I recognize that you're having a look at this, and I think the the tradition of Grays as a company has really kept them going, and I think this new change for this season's been a brilliant step for them. I think um, it's really helped them out. It's maybe drawn a few more eyes to the sticks that maybe have just gone, oh, that's always just that color, and it's maybe fading in the background. So, no, so far the sticks have gone really well. Certainly for us, I'll say that as for us. But yeah, no, they've been really really good. So I can only commend you on the design choices that have gone down for that one.
Good to hear. Yeah, there's not many brands that have, 130 years worth of heritage in the market, and yeah, it's how you keep that and celebrate that whilst also continuing to provide something new. So you're right, it's such a trusted brand in the market. Everyone knows that they buy a Grace hockey stick, it's going to be quality. You know, they know the brand that's been around, for a long, long time, as long as hockey's been played.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's how you keep innovating, how you keep it fresh. Obviously, hockey's played by generally quite a young demographic. Um, so yeah, it's been a positive change to retain. Obviously it's still got the you know classic Grays branding on it, but everything around that
yeah,
has sort of been refreshed. So yeah, we're really pleased with it.
brilliant. And obviously in the hockey world, sort of the new league that's come out of it, like you said, after Paris, is that Hockey One League in Australia, which you were lucky enough to get over to. What was that experience like? It as a league, it's their third or fourth season now in it all, and it looks a brilliant league. Really great players in it, and some great venues as well.
Yeah, it was amazing to be honest. Yeah, we didn't really have any idea what to expect. Everything's done over email, different time zones, late night calls, early mornings for them. You don't know where you're going to be living. They put you up. It's kind of just, we took a bit of a punt on it, but
Yeah,
oh, it paid off massively. Obviously such an amazing country, all over Australia. We got to go to every major city. We were living in Tasmania, which obviously is such a beautiful part, an island off the south of Australia. And,
Yeah.
I think that whole franchise concept has, you know, got so much going for it. It's a short format. You play every other state once, and then there's the grand finals if you're lucky enough to make it. So, it's over in sort of 8 weeks. It's easy to follow. The games are on Australian
Yeah.
national TV. There's podcasts about it that come out on the Monday. The whole sort of media operations that came with it just made it, a great thing to be part of. And obviously the women's
Yeah.
fixtures were always tied in with the men's fixtures. So whenever you're playing away or at home, there was always a dual element to it, and it was always really sociable as well. So anyone who's thinking about it, I would highly recommend it. Yeah, the Australian people looked after us very well, and the standard of hockey was brilliant. Like we're obviously really fast, direct attacking hockey over there, and the rules in the league are such that if you score an outfield goal, it's 2 points. Well, you get a running penalty to potentially score two
Yes.
points. Um, and yeah, obviously less for a penalty corner. So, some of the games ended up being 10-3, 10-7. It's just like scores that you wouldn't get elsewhere, but it
Yeah.
makes it really exciting, the fact that you get that extra chance to score a goal from an outfield goal. So, yeah, it was great to play.
Yeah. And like you said there, the fast attacking style of hockey. Is that what you noticed? Sort of that difference in playing style when going over there. Obviously, um, it's always find it difficult to understand sometimes with those franchise bits, especially like with the Indian Hockey League as well. Are you going over there and is your first meeting how you're going to set up and what your structure is going to be, or it's just we're playing attacking hockey and that's it?
Yeah, I mean, you get used to it pretty quickly. We were pretty much straight into training, the day after we got off the plane. Um, and yeah, first of all, you got to get used to the lingo. They definitely like to shorten words and add O's onto the end, um, to every word. So yeah, it was getting used to the language first, even though we speak the same language. It's different terminology. But yeah, generally, they looped us in pretty quickly to the tactics. Obviously, I played with three of us from the Great Britain squad, so myself, Fiona Crackles, and Holly Hunt, and we played with a Dutch girl as well, um, who was an unbelievable drag flicker. So we were sort of four recruits into the Tasmanian team, and we're all sort of through the middle of the pitch, different
Yeah,
lines, defence, screen, midfield, up front. So also the team had to get used to us coming in, and we all played pretty big minutes, pretty big roles. So it was a case, yeah, of us getting to know them getting to know us, and yeah, we were lucky that we gelled all pretty quickly, and yeah, we ended up making the finals for the first time in 40 years for the Tassie women. So it was an epic achievement, and yeah, total roller coaster ride, and absolutely loved it.
brilliant. Is there any chance of a callback to it?
Yeah, well, they asked us to come back again this year, but obviously most of the girls have gone back to play, back in the England team or back to jobs.
Yeah,
I'm working full time now, so I don't think I can wangle another 3 months off, despite as much as I would like to. So
just
yeah,
says product development.
yeah, extended product development. So yeah, no, playing in England this year. So yeah, unfortunately not on the horizon for now.
Look, it could come back, um, and then obviously with Australia and that leads quite nice into sort of Commonwealth Games territory. What what did you think was the biggest difference between a Commonwealth Games atmosphere and an Olympic Games atmosphere?
Yeah, obviously the Olympics is, yeah, bigger scale.
Yeah,
Most countries in the world compared to the Commonwealth. I'd say the Commonwealth definitely has a friendlier, more celebration of sport environment. There's
yeah,
so many different countries there from such a range of cultures. You play Ghana hockey and they're singing, dancing in the way into the match, things that you wouldn't necessarily get at the Olympics. I
yeah,
obviously qualify for the Olympics is so brutal that, you get la creme de la creme of the hockey
yeah,
teams, whereas the standard in the Commonwealth is much more varied. Um, but, great in a different way. As you say, you get to see all the different cultures at the Commonwealth. It's got that real friendly community environment. Yeah, whereas I'd say the Olympics definitely has that more business end feel.
yeah.
Yeah, people are in the food hall to get their food and get out. They're not as singing and dancing as they are at the Commonwealth. But yeah, two amazing events, two multi-sport events that yeah, it's been a total privilege to play in. And yeah, it's a shame that obviously hockey's not in the next Commonwealth Games, but obviously Scotland had to run a pretty scaled back event given that they got pretty a late call up to hosting it.
Yeah, that was my next question. How do you feel with it not being in, especially since it's in Scotland? But yeah, like you said, it's a scaled back one. Hopefully, whatever happens next, we go back to a sort of normal running of it all.
Totally, yeah. I think from what I've heard on the grapevine is there's a couple of good countries that have put in to host it in 2030 that both are really strong hockey nations. So hopefully it'll be one of them and it'll return to its full glory.
Right.
But yeah, obviously disappointed that it's not part of Glasgow 2026. But hopefully we'll qualify for the World Cup, and that'll take priority next summer for Scotland.
Yeah, that's the best way to look at it. Um, do you think the the likes of your past forays into rugby and football as a kid helped sort of shape how your attitude is on the pitch and how you play?
Definitely, I think a lot of the girls that I've ended up playing, with for Great Britain have all come from a sort of multi-sport background, and I think it provides you with so much. You meet obviously a different sort of demographic of people playing different sports, but also like different way to look at the game. Like I've always had pretty good spatial awareness in hockey, and that's definitely come from football. Obviously having to be off
Mm.
onside, offside. You get used to playing the ball through channels, playing it into space, and someone that's purely played hockey, that would maybe be a bit more unnatural to them.
Yeah,
So yeah, I definitely feel like I've benefited from sort of multi-sport childhoods and just generally playing sport because you love it and enjoy it. I think sticking to one sport too early potentially, you potentially get a bit sick of it.
yeah,
Certainly I've played exclusively hockey for the last 15 years, and I'm not sick of it yet, but for most people it would probably lead to a bit of fatigue. But yeah,
yeah.
feel pretty happy that I played a few different sports as a kid before specialising. Yeah,
What was your favorite before finding hockey?
football, definitely loved football.
Okay.
Made a lot of really good friends playing football. The banter in football was pretty good, so it definitely kept you on your toes. Um, yeah, football was probably everyone would have thought I would have picked football. I was obsessed with it as a kid. Every night after school doing keepy uppies till it was dark in the garden, and it wasn't until I was like 13, 14 that I came to hockey.
Yeah.
Um, and 2 years later, I ended up dropping football and picking hockey after only playing it for a couple of years. So yeah, it was a pretty quick in at the deep end for hockey and pretty quick journey through the pathway. But obviously, I look back now and I'm really glad that that happened. Yeah, despite women's football taking off now and everyone being celebrities.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's changed times.
No, it's still hockey's just one big tournament on TV away. I think we're still doing so well from the Rio and Tokyo results. I think I think hockey's nearly there.
Yeah,
It just needs a bit more TV coverage and a couple more, say, superstars to sort of
yeah,
break out. And I think it's there really.
hopefully, hopefully.
Yeah. And obviously, like you said before, GB and hockey has its ups and downs. So with that deselection from the squad going into the Rio games, did that fuel the fire to just go right? This has happened. I'll be sad about it for a few days, and then I'll get back on the horse and push for the next games.
Yeah, I think that definitely was a long-term effect of it. I think short-term, obviously, I was only, sort of 21 at the time and had come into a GB squad that was like full of experience,
Yeah,
Alex Danson Bennett, Kate Richardson Walsh, Helen Richardson Walsh, Krista Cullen, like some of the biggest names in hockey. And, you're sort of
yeah,
thrust into that as a young Scottish 21-year-old a year out from the games. So I definitely was like finding my feet a lot in that environment. Um,
yeah,
and then ended up coming quite close to it. Um, and then obviously that was my first real experience of like a major deselection, um, which obviously hits you pretty hard when you're young and you're on an upwards trajectory, and then you get a knockback, and you're like, oh yeah, maybe it wasn't for me. Maybe I'm not as good as I potentially thought I could have been. So yeah, it definitely took me some time to sort of come back. Luckily in a way, I was going back to Edinburgh Uni to finish my law degree at the same time, so I had a bit of time
Okay.
out to sort of reset, go back to Scotland, rebuild myself, and then, 1 year on from that, came back down to retrial to get back into the GB team, and then yeah, definitely then my mindset once I'd sort of rebuilt myself and sort of processed the whole thing was, yeah, let's do this. I want to do it. Um, put it all out there. And yeah, I remember after the trial period, Danny Carey at the time saying, yeah, I'd been sort of one of
Yeah.
the best players, not just worthy of a place in the squad, but he was like so impressed. So it definitely did fuel that fire to do it and gave me that hunger. Yeah, I think long term it set me up to like, obviously be a lot more resilient and understand myself a lot more. But yeah, it's a brutal environment. You've got 30, 31 girls and men
Yeah.
competing for 16 spots every Olympics. So, it's half the squad basically are going to get in. So yeah, it can be really tough for people who don't, but there's so many great examples of people bouncing back who haven't been picked at the one before, or they go in a reserve
Yeah.
position and they go on to absolutely smash it at the next one. So yeah, I think for people who can ride it out and get through those tough times, it's definitely a learning curve.
Yeah. And then stepping away from the hockey pitch, you obviously, it seems to be that your enjoyment of being away from hockey is linked to walking around countrysides and hills with your very nice dog Robbie.
Yeah, Robbie Robertson. Yeah, he was an addition straight after Tokyo as well, not just the bronze medal. We also got a dog, which was
Brilliant.
arguably a better addition. Um, yeah, exactly. Yeah, where I'm from in Scotland is a pretty rural part, and yeah, living in London now, it's always nice to get back and get
Yeah.
out in the hills, get some fresh Scottish air. It's definitely one thing I miss about not living there. Obviously, my family as well. So yeah, obviously very proud to be Scottish and enjoy soaking up the landscape whenever you get the opportunity and if you get the weather.
Yeah. No, the weather is probably a big thing. It's same over here. It's great when
Yeah,
it's dry.
exactly. Yeah.
Um, and then equally the few months that then you worked within Premiership rugby, that that seemed, certainly for me anyway, I have an interest in it. So it that seemed an interesting few months for you.
Yeah, it definitely was. Yeah, that was my first sort of proper job after um hockey. Growing up in Scotland, massive rugby fan, followed the Premiership a lot, was obviously a lot of Scottish players at that time playing in it.
Mm-hmm.
Um so yeah, then when a job opportunity came up, which was sort of linked to law, it was a lot about salary cap regulations. Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, there's like a limit on how much the clubs can pay the players. And after the Saracens scandal, where they got caught paying their
Mm-hmm.
players too much, there was a bit of a review that they needed more staff policing it, basically, or helping the clubs to make sure
Yeah.
they abide by it. So I was sort of one of the people that was brought in at that time. So yeah, it was really interesting to work in a sport that you love. Um, Obviously, a lot of it highly confidential.
Of course.
Yeah, but yeah, really interesting first sort of career opportunity. And yeah, there was unfortunately 9 months into that role, which was obviously a really good role, that my role at Grays came up, which was just too good an opportunity to be missed, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great to still follow the Premiership. Obviously, it's been such a success. Clubs selling out Twickenham, 80,000 people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm still a rugby fan despite not knowing what everyone gets paid.
And obviously with the rugby fandom, are you still getting time to watch the Lions tour then?
Yeah, unfortunately, we've had training both
Oh
times
yeah.
the Lions have played, but definitely been following it. Although not as happy that there seemed to have been less Scots in the Test match team this weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, generally, obviously, good to see them winning. Yeah, so yeah, definitely still following it despite not being able to watch it.
No, brilliant. And look, Sarah, I really appreciate all the time that you have given us. I have a couple more questions before I let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening. Um, what what rule change in the past few seasons have you seen as a benefit or something that you've just hated, and just thought this was the worst rule change ever? You can pick either or. You don't have to get both.
To be honest, the one rule that I think causes the most heat in hockey is the aerial rule.
Yeah,
It seems to change all the time how it's umpired in different countries, different tournaments. I don't know what the perfect solution is. We'll see how it plays out with the Europeans this summer. Obviously, I think having the aerial in the game is such a good part of it. Um,
yeah,
it's such a good skill set to have, and it unlocks another dimension to the game. But definitely hard to umpire, hard to play against.
yeah,
Um, yeah, so yeah, it can be a threat, in an attacking sense, but also, defensively, if someone comes into your circle and they're aerial it into the circle, so unnatural to give them 5 meters and let them just smash it at the goal. Or equally for the
yeah,
goalie, if they encroach, it's a penalty stroke. So yeah, definitely one that takes a lot of brain power in the game to quickly process the rules as the ball's flying through the air. But yeah, we'll see how it goes from here on.
yes. And then is there a rule change that you would love to see? So again, this can be purely for your own benefit as how you play as a player, or just that you think that might benefit the game.
I think I would like to see extra time in hockey, like
Ooh,
a 10-minute period. Obviously, having watched a lot of the women's football Europeans, I think 90 plus 30 is too long. Um,
yeah.
but sometimes a hockey match feels like it's cut short at 60. Um, so I think some sort of 10-minute extra time before shootout. Sometimes I think the shootout feels abrupt.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I think that would cause for a lot of excitement. Sometimes, yeah, it feels like you just want it to go on for another 5 minutes and there'll be a clear winner. Whereas
Yes.
sometimes shootout, obviously shootout, it's better than penalty strokes, definitely. And obviously it's become such a key part of the game, getting through shootouts. But yeah, I feel like a 10-minute extra time period would add a bit of spice.
To be honest, I think that's a good shout. I think there has been several games that either another 2 minutes and
Yeah.
a team might get an equalizer or a goal ahead, or yeah, I think sometimes yeah it can be cut a bit short. Um, like I said to um the few guys before you, we are putting these on the book and send it to the FIH with your name
Yeah.
beside it, so
Perfect. I'm
they
happy. I'm
can
happy to sign it.
they can all get back to you on why they're not going to do those things. Um, the last question that I ask everybody, it's the important one. It's the one that determines if this goes out or not. Is before training or before a match, you obviously have to put your socks and shoes on. How do you do it? Do you go sock, sock, shoe, shoe, or sock, shoe, sock, shoe?
Oh, good question.
There is only one right answer, by the way.
Okay, I don't think mine is going to be the right answer. I'm
Oh
notoriously
no.
slow at getting ready, so I definitely don't do it in the most efficient order. To be honest, no set process. Every day is different.
Okay.
Um, if I had to pick my most consistent, it would be sock, 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 shoe, shoe, because there's two socks involved. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, I'd probably do it like that, alternate. Is that right?
Okay. That is right. Yeah. As long as you don't have a full
Shoe without
fully
a
equipped,
sock
yeah, on a
and
bare
a
foot
naked
out.
foot.
I think,
Um,
yeah,
I mean, I'm not
that's
gonna
the one
lie. I
that
think
we
it
definitely
has
don't
been
want.
done before, but now that I know that that's a cardinal sin, I'll have to avoid that.
Yeah, no, we've been very lucky so far in the past couple of seasons that no one said it, and because they'd get a right telling off. I think as long as it's been a one off and not a consistent thing, we're fine.
Perfect. I'm happy to have passed the test.
No, but Sarah, thank you very much. Is there anything before you go that you want to plug or push people towards?
No, hockey in general, get watching, get
Brilliant.
playing. Such a good sport. But no, nothing to plug from a personal or brand perspective. You've heard it all. So yeah, thanks very much for having me.
No, no, thank you very much. And thank you very much for everyone that was watching and listening. You can watch all of this on YouTube, But if you don't want to look at my face for maybe an hour, that's fair enough, and you can listen to it on Spotify as well. So thank you very much, Sarah, and all the very best for the season ahead with Wimbledon.
Thanks very much. Great to chat. Cheers, everyone.